Hello there and welcome to today's video in which I'm talking about differences in autistic communication and how we can often be misread or misinterpreted by neurotypical people. So let's get started with number one, autistic accents and different ways of speaking. And I think this is common among autistic people and essentially I don't know how really I've arrived at my own accent because it's not wholly representative of where I live. And as a child, I had a Scots accent because my parents are Scottish, but I don't know, it's just something that I've arrived at through years of masking and just picking up different kind of vocal traits or different ways that people pronounce things, even. And I think also I've ended up with this accent because I think I tend to speak quite clearly and at quite a slow pace. And I do wonder if at some level that's because I've not wanted to be misunderstood, or I've tried to minimize ways that I could be misunderstood. So it's almost like I'm subconsciously slowing the pace down and speaking clearly so people could understand me better. And of course, we know that many autistic people speak with quite a monotone voice, so there's not a whole lot of vocal range going on there. Or they may speak with an irregular kind of pace as well. So it just demonstrates that we're all very different as autistic people, aren't we? But I've certainly noticed that, yeah, my accent and the ways that I speak can be quite different to people around me. At number two is being a bit confused about the end of appointments. And I'm talking in particular about doctor's appointments because I don't know about you, but I find it really difficult to know when the appointment has come to an end because you're not told when the appointment has ended. It's just we're supposed to know somehow, but I've really struggled with this in the past, and it's only now that I know I'm autistic that I have a bit more confidence to say to my GP, is this the end of our appointment now? And I'm not quite so kind of conscious about it or so embarrassed about it. But I think it's because we're just not given clear instructions in situations like this. And of course, at the end of a GP session, I've noticed that they're often typing up their notes. So I've just kind of sat there thinking that they might need more information from me or they'll say something to me once they've written up their notes. So yeah, it can be quite confusing. And I don't doubt that this uncertainty could be construed as being a bit confusing to a neurotypical person as well, almost like, why are they hanging around? The appointment's ended now. So I'm just really grateful to be able to say now, is this the end of the appointment? Number three is saying goodbye. And I think this ties in quite well actually to number two, but I find it really hard to know when to say goodbye or how to say goodbye, actually, more specifically. And I'm thinking mainly on kind of telephone calls and also on my live streams. And if you didn't know, I do a monthly live stream on the first Sunday of every month, but I find it really hard to say goodbye at the end of them because I don't know, I just feel like super awkward, and I feel like again there might be something that I've missed, or yeah, it's just really difficult. And also on telephone calls, it's really hard to know when to say goodbye, and I feel like it's worse somehow than actually seeing somebody in the real life world because you don't have the same kind of visual cues or visual clues that you would have. So I don't know, I feel like it's really clunky or clumsy of me to suggest that, you know, this is the end of the phone call now and we should say goodbye. And I tend to rely on the other person, but of course that can lead to more awkward silences really. So yeah, it's really difficult, and I'd love to know if you can relate. Number four is saying yes when you mean no. And yeah, I feel like this was definitely more of a thing when I was younger. So as a child and as a young adult, I found it really difficult to say no to people, because I was such a people pleaser, really, and saying yes is often a massive part of that, isn't it? In order to feel like you've endeared yourself to another person. And as an example of this, I remember when I was about 17, I was working in a petrol station just part time while I was at art college, and I worked with an older woman. Well, I say older woman, she was only actually a few years older than me, but she was really, really lovely. And her brother used to come in occasionally, but I didn't know him at all well. And he came in one day, and I was busy kind of stacking the shelves, I don't know, full of crisps or something. And he basically asked me out on a date. And I was just completely flummoxed by this because I didn't know him. And it just seemed to come completely out of the blue. And I wanted to say no, but I heard myself say, yeah. And I just don't know why I did it, because I really didn't mean to say yes. But I don't know, the lad seemed really happy. And I can't remember actually if he had a couple of friends with him as well. And yeah, he left the petrol station thinking that we were going on a date. And I was just really confused and really worried, because this wasn't something that I wanted to do. And I think this only highlights the additional vulnerabilities that autistic children and young people may have. And I will talk more about this in a future video. But thankfully, I think I saw his sister maybe later that day or the following day. And she said to me, "Did my brother ask you out on a date?" And I said, "Yeah, but I don't know why I said yes, because I really don't want to go." And she was so lovely about it. And she told him separately that, I didn't want to go on a date. So it was all fine and sorted. But yeah, I just didn't know why I said yes. But I feel like it was in order to save him any embarrassment. And it just really demonstrates how we as autistic people go through discomfort each and every day when we're trying to deal with people who don't understand how the autistic brain works. It's so difficult, isn't it? And of course, a neurotypical person could well see that this is a really mixed message. I said yes, I want to go out, but actually I meant no, I don't want to go out. But I think it's all down to people pleasing and making the other person feel much more comfortable than we ourselves are feeling. Number 5 is not laughing at comedy, even though we're finding it really funny. Now, I don't know about you, but I, as an autistic person, do not feel the need to laugh at everything I find funny. And I do have a nervous laugh, as I've explained in previous videos, but this is an entirely different thing to finding something funny and actually laughing because you find something funny. And I'm thinking of various kind of comedy nights I've been to in my past, and I've just found it interesting how people can laugh at everything a comedian says, because not only would I find that exhausting, I just don't feel the need to do it. It's only when I find something really, really funny do I laugh out loud. But I'm really happy and really content watching a comedian or somebody who's doing something funny, and yeah, finding entertainment in that. I don't feel the need to laugh all the time, and I don't know how people can do it, if I'm honest. And I guess this could be misinterpreted by neurotypical or holistic people that, I'm not really enjoying some of the content, or I don't find it funny, when it couldn't be further from the truth. I find a lot of stuff funny, but I just don't feel the need to physically laugh at all of it. And number 6 is needing additional processing time. And I think this is another common one for autistic people. But yeah, I just have to sit on stuff and process it a lot of the time. And it's really difficult to respond to somebody in the here and now sometimes, because you just need that bit of extra time, really, because we process things more deeply. And I guess this could be misconstrued by neurotypical people as maybe an embarrassing pause. But yeah, I just need that additional time very often. And also, what I've noticed that I do quite a lot actually is that if somebody is talking to me and I'm not fully present in the moment to hear what they're saying or to listen to what they're saying, it's almost like my brain's kind of ticking over and processing what they're saying a few seconds later, if this makes sense. So very often I'll say what or pardon so that they repeat themselves, and in the meantime my brain is actually replaying what they said the first time. So by asking what or asking them to repeat themselves, I'm giving myself a bit more time to replay what they've said and to fully process it. And yeah, I've noticed that I do this quite a lot. And yeah, I imagine that many other autistic people use this trick as well. It's almost like it just buys you a bit more time without there being kind of like an obvious pause going on. And yeah, it just helps you kind of fill that space a bit easier. And number 7 is stimming while you're talking. And I've always done this throughout my whole life. I'm a very expressive person when it comes to my hands. I've always talked with my hands, if you like, and people have commented on this in the past. But I just feel like that the process of moving my hands helps my brain to work. And interestingly, I've noticed that whenever I'm recording a video and I need to re-record a section, and particularly actually if I have to re-record a section a few times, which is often due to background noise, due to lorries going past my window, my hands get more and more animated. It's almost like the more frustrated I get, the more my hands move. But I think this kind of physical expression while you're talking could easily be misinterpreted by neurotypical people. But for me, it just means that I'm, really trying to self-regulate in the moments and really trying to concentrate on whatever I'm doing, whether that's talking or listening to another person. Number 8 is being easily distracted by background noise. This is something that I've always struggled with. I've always been very sensitive to external noise. And I think I've spoken about this before on my channel, but I used to work for a charity and we'd often go to this cafe for meetings, and I would take minutes or essentially notes of the meeting. And this cafe in particular had a really clattery kitchen that was very close to the actual eating area. And I was so distracted by all of this noise. And I found it really hard to concentrate on what people were saying around the table. And I remember saying to them, does this noise not bother you? But yeah, nobody was bothered at all. So I remember thinking at that point that, I had real differences actually when it came to dealing with background noise. And also, I'm thinking of times that I've been to the pub with friends and I don't know, sat around a table. And of course, pubs are really busy places, aren't they? And there's lots of background noise going on. And when I've been sat around a table with other people, it's really difficult when they've been talking kind of directly to me, because all of the noise around me is all coming in at exactly the same level. So a voice to the side of me sounds like it could be from across the room. So it's really difficult to discern what that person's saying to me. So this is, of course, is an auditory processing disorder. So I'm just so grateful with my autism diagnosis because it is explaining so much for me. But of course, this could be misinterpreted by neurotypical people if I'm seeming a bit, I don't know, almost disinterested in what they're saying or a bit distracted when they're talking to me. it almost gives the message that I'm not particularly interested in what they have to say. So yeah, it's been really difficult. I think in terms of the pub dynamic, however, though, I've noticed that whenever I've drunk alcohol, which I often used to, it did help with this kind of auditory processing difference going on. I was more easily able to listen to a person who was close to me, but yeah, while I was sober, it was really, really difficult. At number 9 is going off to hide in the toilet very often when you're really anxious. And I'm thinking here specifically of networking events, either at college or through work. And for me, they are just utterly horrifying experiences. As an autistic person, this is so, so deeply uncomfortable for me. And very often at these kinds of things, I've just run off to the toilet because I absolutely cannot tolerate them. I just hate the whole kind of standing around and meeting other people's gaze and just talking utterly meaningless things. They just fill me with absolute horror, and even now, it gives me anxiety just thinking about it. Who on earth came up with this idea? Because it is so, so awful. I think the introduction of mobile phones has probably helped a little bit with this kind of scenario through the years, but um, yeah, it's still not great, is it? Because it means having to pretend you've got a phone call or something like that. But yeah, I absolutely hate networking events, and I think because of my behaviour at these things, I don't doubt that it may well come across to other people that I'm just not interested or I don't want to be there. And absolutely, I don't want to be there, but it's not because I'm intending to be rude to other people. It's just that I have a phobia about these kinds of things. I just really, really struggle with talking to people I don't know about whatever, whether it's work or I don't know, anything. I just really, really struggle with small talk and introducing myself to people. At number 10 is awkward body language. And I don't doubt that this is probably a common one among autistic people, and I've definitely struggled with awkward body language for my whole life, really, whether it be through really hunched posture or just being really awkward. And I'm thinking of a time in my 20s when I was invited to a birthday party, and for whatever reason, there wasn't any alcohol at this party. I was stood for quite a long time with the good old T-Rex arm situation going on, which is pretty common among autistic people. And I remember that at the time I felt really anxious, but having this T-Rex arm situation going on was actually quite comforting to me. And there was somebody with a video camera at this party, and I remember I was watching it back, or the footage back, with a couple of friends a few days later, and one of them said to me, "What on earth are you doing with your hands?" And, I just didn't know what to say because obviously they didn't know why on earth I was doing it, but I found almost comfort in it. It was, yeah, really, really helping with my anxiety, and yeah, just didn't know what to say. I just said, "Oh, I don't know." Of course, I now know that this is a common thing among autistic people, and it can really bring us comfort. And I still really enjoy the sensation of T-Rex arms. It's almost like it's taking away any tension in my arm. And yeah, I just find it super relaxing. So there we have it. There are 10 more ways that autistic behaviours or autistic communication can be misinterpreted by neurotypical people, and they won't resonate with all autistic people because as autistic people we're all very different, and there's the old adage, if you've met one autistic person you've met one autistic person. But these are just some examples that resonate with me, and I'd love to know if you can relate to them too. So that's it for today. So thank you for watching. Give it a like if you got this far. Comments would always be appreciated. And if you don't know what to say, leave an orange heart down below for friendship. And I'll see you again soon.